Hello, good morning, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. We're on the Smart Money Culture TV network. I'm in a little bit of a different studio here this morning, so my light might be a little off. I'll try to fix that as we go. Pretty exciting show we have today. Of course, we have some of the interviews from Consensus as well. We have the great Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon will join us, giving us a look at the markets. We have really a lot going on. Of course, Trump is now facing jail time. Trump is facing jail time, and they're definitely going to give him some jail time. Now, whether he serves any jail time is a different story. I think they're going to appeal it, but they're going to give it to him. If you don't think they're going to give it to him, then you're not paying attention. They haven't gone this far and done all this in order to not give the guy a jail sentence. They're going to give it to him. So that'll be fairly interesting as it unfolds. Now we have, as a matter of fact, we will be in Detroit from the 14th through the 16th with Donald Trump, with President Trump. He will be at the Turning Point Convention. So if you'd like to get some tickets for that, we'd love to see you there. And I know a lot of you guys are watching. You know, we're more political allies than money allies. I would say to you that politics and money are intertwined, and I've said that from the beginning. But Trump is in Detroit, June 14th through 16th at the Turning Points People's Convention. Use code Impact Money, and we have secured a 25% discount for our community. So Impact Money, make sure that you use that code. Come and see us, and you get 25% off on the tickets. We'd really like to see everybody, and we're super excited about it. I know some of you guys have been to some Trump rallies before, and some of you haven't. This is kind of a different, I don't know, so much of a Trump rally or if it's more of a conference, but I think it's a bit of both. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. The markets today have rebounded pretty nicely, and just on the Turning Point conference there, that is they are going to have not only Trump there, but they're going to have a lot of other people that are there, including. I can actually just run over it just a little bit. Actually, you know what I did is I recorded I already recorded something. The People's Convention. Let me just put it right here. It's right here. I'll play this real quick as I queue up my other stuff. Here we go. Share screen. Here we go. This is going to be one of those moments that you're not going to want to miss. You can get your discount 25. Hello, everybody. Really exciting news. We are going to be at the Turning Point Action Convention, the People's Convention. We will be there live, reporting live from the convention. Super excited about it. And we also have partnered with them to secure a 25% discount for you. So Trump is going to be in Detroit June 14th through 16th. As many of you guys know, I'm a Trump guy, right? I've always been a Trump guy. Of course, the man's not perfect. Neither am I, but he's the best man for the situation right now. He's the best man for our pocketbook. I firmly believe that, and for our family. Support the man. He's going to be there in Detroit June 14th through 16th. If you haven't been to a Trump rally before, this is a great moment to do it. If you have, come and support him. We'll be there. 25% discount. Use the code Impact Money for a 25% discount. Some of the speakers here, of course, we have the great President Trump. We have Charlie Kirk. We have Vivek. We have Ben Carson. We have Steve Bannon, Don Jr. We have Tulsi Gabbard, Governor Kristi Noem, the great Candace Owens. We have Laura Trump. We have Rick Scott, Jack Prosbiak, Roger Stone, Benny Johnson, Bishop Aubrey Shines. We have Kim Garfield, Congressman Lee, former Congressman Lee Zeldin, Matt Gaetz. We have Brandon Tatum, Eli Crane, Eric Burleson, Kyrie Lake, Tom Klingenstein, the great Scott Pressler. We even have Nigel Farage, great Mike Lindell, we have James Lindsay, we have Warren Davidson, Michael Cloud, and the great Byron Donalds. This is going to be one of those moments that you're not going to want to miss. You can get your discount, 25% discount. We're really proud of it that we put together for you. Use Impact Money for your ticket to claim that, and we look forward to seeing you all in Detroit this June 14 through 16 with the big guy, Donald Trump. Well, there you have it, folks. So that is going to be, I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. We have, anyway, those events, I mean, they're really something else. I have not seen anybody bring as many people together as Trump with not even an instrument, you know what I mean? Not even an instrument. So get your tickets there. That's going to be pretty awesome. Of course, we are as well in New York this week. We'll be in New York at New York Tech Week. It's New York Tech Week, big week in New York. We have our Bitcoin Palooza event on Thursday. Pretty excited about that. You can sign up for that event at Luma. Bitcoin Palooza here. Luma. Bitcoin Palooza. Let me just add that back to the screen here. Add back to the stage. So you can see here, this is Bitcoin Palooza. It's more of a fun event. Let me just go ahead and say that to everybody. Initially, I had planned a bit more of a conference on this. I was outvoted, and it is a bit more of a evening event, live bands and stuff like that. So keep that in mind, but I would love to see you. I will be there for this evening, and then headed back to DC because my daughter is graduating 8th grade, which is pretty fun. She's I'm really proud of her. She's made it into one of the premier art schools around here, and yeah, that's cool. But that's going to be pretty fun, and that will be a predecessor as well to, you know, we announced that we're going to do the UN Blockchain Week and the gala during the UN General Assembly, and that's in September. And we announced that while we were at our gala in Consensus. Consensus was a lot of fun. It was everything that we thought it would be. There was a ton of people there, a lot of important things that went on, and we'll have a lot of those interviews as we move forward. And one of the great things to come out of it as well was Fly Mackey, the great Fly Mackey with Smart Money Culture TV was there. So as I always say, if you guys want to get involved in what we're building, you should reach out either on smartmoneyculture.tv or directly to me. And as Fly always says, send us a check. Just send us a check. It's easy. Just send us a check. No, but really, that's how you do it. And we are growing really, really fast. We're growing really fast. So super excited about that as well. That's going to be pretty interesting. So yeah, but I'd love to see you in New York. Come to New York. I'd love to see you in Detroit with Donald Trump. That's going to be super exciting. The markets do appear to be turning around a bit. I think we're going to have Matt on here in a minute, but I'll tell you what, it's one of those times when it's really hard to say exactly what's going to happen, though, because there's so many geopolitical issues going on. You have the war heating up again over in Israel, and then as well in I would say Ukraine, but in Russia, because they're now using U.S. and NATO bombs and weaponry to attack Russia in Russia. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that all plays out. Interesting is a relative term, because who wants to see that, right? So far, we have not been hit, but there's a lot of different people that are here from those countries that are getting bombed. And, people, you never know what to expect. So make sure to stay alert and say your prayers and all that stuff. But I think that the war machine just keeps war machine keeps turning. It just keeps turning, and it seems to be speeding up, unfortunately. So that's that will be, and that can have a big effect. Now, it can, when the war initially started over there in the Ukraine, the markets pumped pretty hard. So it can have an effect either way. But, you know, I would say it's more of a risky situation. As well, we see oil. Oil is pulling back, and Matt's going to talk about some of the stuff. But we're at $77 per barrel. That indicates slowing of the economy. Economy is slowing. That is a good indicator. Gold is tepid today. Silver is tepid today. Bitcoin took a nice pump. I mean, not that big, but a bit, some percentage points pump, and that carried everything else. BNB, nice move. I'm long on BNB, which is nice. I just felt like as CZ went for his 4-month sentence that they were going to pump it, and I was right. They did. But I've been long on that one for a while, so I expect it to do pretty well over the next months while he's in jail, and then when he gets out, I expect a major pump. They're gonna push that thing into the stratosphere. That's what I think. But the rest of them, of course, moving up fairly nicely. Actually, we can go ahead and start with Matt if we want. Sir Matt, the great Matt, how are you?
Good morning. We both timed our haircuts to perfection.
We did, right? My youngest daughter's, Dad, why did you cut your hair? I don't know why she always loves to run her fingers through my hair or something, but pretty funny. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, on a serious note, you're right. This war stuff going on in the background, rumbling away. It is just rumbling away at the moment, but it is very worrying if you really think about it. There's with all the threats that Russia have made, if they use Western bombs effectively in that war, they said there could be some serious retaliation, and who knows. So.
And that'll cause. I mean, as much as the war in the Middle East is worrying and everything else, so that war in Europe, that could really turn into a big mess very quickly.
Yeah. So on the financial side, they got some good news out of China. I think the economy is picking up again once there. Who knows what's true, what isn't? But I think the world economy is at the moment, in general, they're a bit out of tune. So the US seems to be beginning to slow down a little bit, but we're seeing a little bit healthier news out of parts of Europe. Even the UK is looking a little bit healthier at the moment.
It's true.
But they've been lagging, so it's a little bit out of tune. But they will all eventually follow America, which is the powerhouse that seems to drive everything. So we need to keep an eye on the American economy. And we had the news out on Friday, had PCE news, which was absolutely bang in line with expectations. But consumer spending was down a little bit. So we are beginning to see, I think, signs of the US economy slowing. So we've had a few signs now. We've had employment or unemployment getting a little bit worse. So unemployment beginning to tick up. That is always a bad sign for the economy. It's always a sign that the economy is beginning to slow. And it's cyclical. So when it turns, usually it carries on for quite a while. So the unemployment situation in America has been absolutely amazing for such a long time. Employment has been really full. Something that America can be proud of, that they've managed to keep such a good low unemployment rate. But unfortunately, that is beginning to show signs of turning around now. And we saw that will then have a knock-on to consumer spending, which we saw with the figures on Friday. That consumer spending is now beginning to tail off a bit. And there's quite a few things now that the economy is showing signs of slowing. But inflation, so PCE is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, and that came out 2.7, 2.8 for core. So it's absolutely bang on in line with expectations. So there wasn't a big market effect, but the fact that we're getting a slight turn down in consumer spending means that the economy is slowing. And so in some ways, the Fed's hands are being it's being loosened a little bit. They may have a freer hand to be able to reduce rates. But what I would say is that historically, it's always been the Fed will stay really vigilant as long as inflation is high. So as long as inflation stays high, and especially if we do have geopolitical issues, inflation will stay high because price of oil and goods, etc., will go up. So we just need to keep an eye on inflation. And the big worry is what we saw on Friday was actually the first early signs potentially of stagflation, where you see stagnant growth because growth is slowing down, and you see inflation, sticky inflation. We're still 40% above the target rate, and this is despite with the high interest rates for such a long time. So I'll just go ahead to sharing screen. There's a couple of other things. Oh yeah, you mentioned about war and the stock markets. So as I said, Hong Kong's really good. We had a great stellar day on Friday out of the Dow, didn't we? The Dow and the S&P. Yep. Fantastic. Yep. So that's really driving markets. But in times of war, believe it or not, I look back historically, in times of war, markets tend to pump. And I'm guessing that's because there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of spending, a lot of rebuilding, everything goes on. So war is not quite, from an economic perspective or from a profits perspective, it's not quite as bad as people would expect it to be. You'd think the markets would absolutely crumble the first sight of war, but that's not the case. So I'm just starting with a longish term view of Bitcoin. When I say longish term, it's only a few months, but we're looking at the previous all-time high here, which is the 0. I've got to the left, on the top left here. So we had this big pump in price. Around this time, it's just after this time, we got the ETF approval, didn't we? So around these levels, and then we fell back a bit. So it fell back effectively in 3 waves is really what I want to show you. Basically got wave 1 down, or W, X, and Y. So it's a 3-wave fall. So what that tells us is, so far, this is a correction and the impulse is still to the upside. So that would tell us that at some point, we should certainly see a new all-time high for Bitcoin. But the big question is when. So we've had 3 waves down. Now, the couple of alternatives are we can have 3 waves up and then 5 waves down, or we could even have 3 up and 3 down. But basically, potentially, we can almost meet the previous all-time high, and then we can still potentially turn down again before we then go to all-time highs. Or this can be the completed correction already here, 3 waves down, and then we could be working on the impulse higher. And that's still a valid scenario, because from the bottom, we've had basically wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, working on potentially a triangle wave 4. Wave 4 is not allowed to cross into the territory of wave 1. I've shown that with this dotted line here. If it does that, it's broken the rules, and it's telling us this is just a correction higher, and we still expect another big move down. So it's very, very important for us to watch the actual form of the waves as they unfold and develop. And that tells us what's ahead. So right now, there's still a couple of alternatives there, but if it breaks this low here, then it tells us that we're probably then at some point going to head lower before we head higher to new all-time highs for Bitcoin. But at the moment, it looks as though it's nailed on certainty. And again, it's not financial advice. You can't take my word for it. Do your own research, etc. But I've been trading for 40 years. For me, it's a certainty as far as I'm concerned that we're going to new all-time highs at some point. And it could be drawn out a bit, but at some point, new all-time high for Bitcoin above that 73,000 odd. So that's encouraging for me. If you're not leveraged, you don't need to worry about a bit of a pullback on the market, because if you hold it, it should go to all-time profit. So for me, I'm quite happy to hold Bitcoin and other of the solid crypto assets to look for new all-time highs that will correlate with a Bitcoin all-time high. They won't necessarily go to all-time highs, but they should correlate in the direction of movement with Bitcoin. That's the most likely thing. So today we're seeing Bitcoin up over 2%. One of the best ones was Bruce mentioned was BNB, which I said is one of those solid coins. It's really solid, great use case, amazing exchange for BNB. Yep. The buy and burn policy means that the tokens, basically the profits are used to buy their own token and then burn that token. So you've got both sides of the supply and the demand metrics, which are the things that drive price. So you've got them both in your favor. The supply is diminishing and the demand is increasing, with the profits being turned into buy and burn. And so I think BNB is a great, great token. I'm not sure about your correlation with CZ, as he's no longer involved, but who knows?
Yeah. It might just be wishful thinking on my part, but
Another one I've been asked about, which is there's actually been some negative stuff on the internet recently about ADA, Cardano, but I actually look from a chart perspective. Let me just compress this a little bit so you can look longer term and see my view on it. Why I think they've talked about basically that we're broken below long-term support when we broke below 45 cents, and we did break below it. We're fractionally above again now, but they're saying we broke long-term support, and I'm guessing that support is what they're measuring from here, from that previous wave 4 here. So they're saying that's potentially very negative, but actually I don't see it as being so negative. And you can see I've actually got a line here, which is what I expect for price. We may still see a bit further fall. That's entirely possible, but a bit like Bitcoin, even if we see a bit further fall, I think we're going to see a really good rally coming. And the reason for that is that from the low price that we saw here of 22 cents, around about 22 cents, we had a clear wave 1 up in blue, 2 down in blue, and then the wave 3 was made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it all had the nice Fibonacci relationships, that golden ratio that we talk about so often, had some lovely relationships in there between waves 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 in blue, etc. And then we completed wave 3 in blue, and then a correction wave 4 down, which didn't cross into territory, nowhere near, in fact, crossing to wave 1, so perfectly valid. And then we got a nice 5-wave move to the upside with the 5th wave here. So in my view, we're clear 5 waves higher.
Well, as well, and I'll pull this down just to talk, and then I'm going to bring it right back up. But as well, these guys are professional businessmen. I mean, when I was there at Consensus, they had a team of executives that are working to fund projects in the ADA ecosystem, and I mean, guys that I've worked with for years, guys that I've known for years, highly capable and successful people, a team of them. And so when you see a company or a coin working like that, that really tells you a lot.
Yeah, amazing, smart team, as you say, and that does mean a lot. We looked at ICP, we met people from ICP, ADA, Cardano, we've met people from these at the various shows and presentations and so on. Yeah, they're a very, very impressive team. So that does say an awful lot as well. But I mean, we can look at team, which is kind of fundamental. We can look at here, we're looking at technicals, which is TA, technical analysis. So we've had 5 waves up. We're expecting 3 waves down. So the 5 waves can be either wave A or wave 1. The move down can be either wave 2 or wave B. Whichever way you count it, we then expect either wave C or wave 3 to the upside. So it doesn't even matter. The most bearish count you've got is A, B, C. But C is still taking you, expected to take you massively higher. Certainly beyond the top of wave 5 here, and probably way, way beyond. So even if you look at the more bearish, the less bullish scenario being A, B, still C is going to be massive. But if it's 1, 2, 3, it's even more massive. So, just take that bearish one, A, B, big C to come. That means I'm really bullish Cardano. And if you're really bullish Cardano, which admittedly is a great project with a great team, I think you've got to be bullish on a lot of the cryptos as well, because there are a lot of solid cryptos. They don't get to the top rankings among there's thousands of cryptos out there, probably 20,000 plus now. You don't get to the top echelons of the coin, the market cap of these coins without having something decent behind you. So again, we've looked at Cardano, we've looked at ICP, which is another amazing opportunity. It looks like it's corrected down. We've got a big support zone there. We should, whether we've bounced already, if you open this one out, you'll see we actually had some divergence here, which is basically lower lows on the price and higher lows on RSI. That was bullish divergence, regular bullish divergence, telling you that at this point, the price was going to push higher. And precisely, we got a spike slightly lower, but precisely at that point, the price did push higher, corrected down a little bit and pushing higher again. So this for me is really bullish ICP. And as I say, we've tested into this support zone many, many times. here on the 4 hour, we've got, even from here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe, close to it on the 7th. So we've had a lot of tests there. That is telling us there's a lot of buyers in that area. When they see it drop to that, they see it as being good value, and immediately they jump in and buy. And that's why immediately it drops into that zone, it becomes a good risk reward for us, and we can really have some reasonable confidence about jumping in with a buy, and you can have a stop loss reasonably close and plenty of upside there. So that's, potentially an amazing trade. Litecoin has been one that's been dragging a little bit. Again, we had a stop loss zone. It tested a couple of times. This one looks to me as though, yes, even if we get a small pullback, I still think we've got this trend line above. Potentially plenty of upside still to come, at least to 92 sort of area on Litecoin. So that's looking promising. XRP has been dragging a little bit. Potentially, we've got an A wave up. We're close to finishing a B wave here, and potentially a big push up for XRP. So I'm actually quite bullish. Most of these cryptos, we may have short term, maybe a little bit of a test down, but I think we're very, very close to a potential.
Uh-oh. Froze again.
Game out.
We lost you there for a minute, but it was anyway. We're bullish on most of these. I agree with you. In the same boat. Yeah.
And even with Ethereum here, we've massively bullish. Really, we've had wave 1 up in blue, 2 down. The 3 was made up of 5 perfect waves. Then we may have completed the wave 4 here, or we may have a bit lower to go. But even so, you still expect a new high to come. So Ethereum had this massive rally, which was actually just ahead of the ETF approval. Obviously, it was anticipated to some extent. I think I can see why we got interrupted there. But anyway, so wave 4, we still expect a wave 5 to come. Solana, again, still very, very bullish at some point. I think we've probably this is probably a complete correction here, actually. And we look as though we're going to be pushing higher, because this low here didn't break this low here. That was the support there. So a great risk reward buy opportunity again. And I think we're going to see very soon. Even if we see a bit lower, I still think we're going to see highs above this, and also above the previous local high of 210, which is back here a little bit. But overall, it's looking still quite bullish, I think, for Solana. Gold, we'll just touch on a couple of the solids, as I call them. So gold, again, we did expect this. We had the A down, the B up. We said even before it happened, even though we had this nice bullish divergence here, even though we had that and the price moved up initially, I did say it's unlikely to hold and to continue, because we need to have a lower price for gold to actually give us the C wave that we're waiting for. And that's precisely why I said we expected some lower after this push up, because of the bullish divergence, or the bullish divergence was anticipated a move up. It was perfect. Then I did say we need a pull down because we haven't completed a C wave yet. And then I expect after we complete the C wave, we'll rally up to new all-time highs once again for gold. So that'll be pretty much inflation dependent, I imagine. Oil, again, we keep testing this. These supports are very, very important. They're really good for risk reward. You just need to take them into account when you're trading. When you see a support tested over and over and over and over again, it's a good area for risk reward, because you put your buy in just when it spikes below. You can put a stop loss a little bit below the previous low, with plenty of potential upside. So the upside could come either from geopolitical issues, or it could come from a pickup in demand, a pickup in the economies. So whether that be America, I mean, certainly we're seeing China. China's a massive oil importer, so it's going to have an impact. So that's, again, supply and demand. So the geopolitics is more about supply, and then demand the other side. So both of them will have a major impact on oil prices. So Friday, we got that news. And we had that spike down. I think that was Friday. We saw a strong spike down on the dollar index. And that was basically dollar selling off because we saw consumer spending dropping a little bit. Even though PCE was flat as expected, so no major impact. But actually DXY, the spike lower didn't hold at all, and we started to move higher. So that tells me that maybe short term we might see a little bit of uncertainty on the cryptos, but I'm just saying longer term, you can see I've got this downward move here. It could, it could come from anywhere around here, but I'm just saying I do expect at some point some further downward move in the dollar index. So the dollar will weaken further, and that should give us fuel for the rally in cryptos that I believe is coming reasonably soon. S&P has seen a nice turnaround again, really nice turnaround after a strong sell-off that we had recently. So a massive green candle there. And as I said, there was a big rally on Friday that we saw 500 odd points on the Dow and quite a lot of points on the S&P. I can't remember offhand what, but again, that may be a completed ABC, so it may be complete already here. That's entirely possible. I predicted that we might dip just a little bit lower, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, a difference of 18 points between where it touched and where my prediction was. So very close prediction of the turning point. So potentially higher on the S&P to new all-time highs, probably very soon, maybe this week. We'll see. Or we might get a short-term pullback before we push up. But I think it's inevitable that we're going to see new all-time highs there. So just touch very briefly on the memes, because I know probably my time's counting. But Book of Memes is a really interesting one. I posted it on over the weekend. Book of Memes is amazing. It's not really a meme coin itself. It's actually to do with memes. So it's creating basically a digital historical record of memes. And so it has use case. It's not actually really a meme itself. It does genuinely have utility. But it's just been really popular. In fact, it was the fastest coin to reach 1 billion market cap, the fastest of all tokens ever. So Book of Memes made a new record on that. And it's one of the really exciting ones that has really caught people's imaginations. And we see 5% plus today already. But then, Bonk was a meme. And again, I think that also now has a proper use case, but that's up 10% today. So these memes are really interesting. Even Bruce's favorite, Doggy, is up over almost 3.5% today. So we're seeing some really good movement across those. And as I say, one of my favorites that I love, this Ton coin, but I have said my big concern about it is the massive supply they have. And maybe that's what's holding them back, possibly. Jenna coin.
That can have, of course, psychological and real effects. You know what I mean? Both.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. Some of these memes have massive supplies, but you still see. But Ton is actually very highly valued already with this massive supply. It's just amazing how sometimes what I would imagine is a dead coin now, this Jenna coin on Solana. I imagine it's a dead coin, but people still buy them. And it's like that with Luna. When Luna crashed, it became effectively a dead coin, but people were still trading it. And it just shows, I mean, obviously Jenna's a meme. Luna wasn't a meme, and yet Luna still stayed alive for a long time. People just trade stuff for the sake of it. They don't mind trading memes these days. I'm not particularly a fan. I like to see something behind it, some real use case that you can at least research and see how useful it is. So you can make a lot of money. You can make an absolute killing with meme coins, but you can also be wiped out. So not my cup of tea.
It is gambling. It's pretty much gambling.
Yeah. So so looking good, as Bruce said. I think overall, very nice, positive day. So I'm happy to hand over to you now, Bruce, and
amazing
the news that you have.
Well, great report. As always, my friend. Fantastic. One of the nice things I got to do was sit down with our friend Vineet there in at Consensus, and Vineet, they've done a heck of a job. Cipher Capital. So I'm gonna play the interview with him. Really interesting. It's funny when you talk to people, and at this point in our career, right, we're pretty in tune, and so you can talk to some people, and they're talking away, and you're looking at them thinking, what are they saying? And then you talk to other people, and it's like, boom, you totally understand each other the entire conversation, and you're in tune. And Vinit's one of those guys. And you guys, Cypher Capital, they have 20 million more to deploy. So he got $10 million. He deployed it very well. Then the same guy, I think, gave him 100 million more. And so they've deployed, I guess, 90 million total, and they have 20 more million to deploy. So anyway, really interesting. It was great. Next time, hope you can come, and as well put on your calendar there that UN General Assembly week. That might be pretty interesting. Who knows? But it's that last week, basically the week of September 25th in New York.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for having me again. Thanks for listening. Been a pleasure. Look forward to catch up tomorrow and hearing the rest of the show. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Matt. All right, guys. I have Vinny Bootke queued up here. This guy, he is absolutely fantastic. He is a force here in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this one. This is a great interview, and Matt and I will step down here.
And we are back here at the Consensus 2024 conference here in Austin. Austin finally got hot. It wasn't really hot yesterday, but today it's a little hot. Nothing like this guy's used to, though, over in Dubai. I have with me here Vinit Bhuti. He's a big name in the space in general. And in Dubai, I mean, Dubai, they do it big anyway, so I guess it makes sense. Yep. So tell me a little bit, Vinit, about, of course, about Cypher Capital and what brought you here to the Consensus event.
Cool. It was good to be here. So I run Cypher Capital, which is one of the $100 million funds based out of Middle East. It's a single LP fund. In fact, Woo Blockchain just named us as one of the top two most active VCs in the last quarter. And in gaming, we are the top 5 investors as well. Again, we've been in this space for 4 years. My single LP is one of the world's top 3 Bitcoin miners, Phoenix Technology, the owner of Phoenix Technology. And it's been a fun ride because, we we did great investments, met great founders, and continuously try to do that. Yeah. As well as, taking Dubai globally, investing across from Dubai. Now, what got us to Consensus? So I've been here for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. I view this event as one of the key events to meet great founders, meet great investors. Again, perfect event to meet a lot of people. If you can see around, you see a lot of people going around and a lot of great projects around. So a great event to be in.
Well, absolutely. And, I mean, one of the second most active. I mean, guys, there you go, right? So how has the crypto winter been for you guys? I mean, were you still deploying? Did you take all its capital? This is kind of did you put it all in dollars as everything went down? Or, what was the crypto winter like for Cypher Capital and Vinit?
So interestingly, when the last bull run was happening and, everyone was saying that, when the bear market will come, we'll deploy a lot. Actually, I have a feeling that every time Bitcoin's at $70,000, everyone's a Warren Buffett. And when it goes down, suddenly everyone run out and hide. Right. For us, luckily, we had deployed a lot in the last cycle and did a lot of harvesting. The same LP who gave me $10 million gave us $100 million, and we deployed. So, when I say we did 113 investments in the last 18 months, wow. They were not last month. They were in the bear market. We did Sui. We are the only investors in Sui in Middle East. We did Say. We did Berachain. So, point is, we actually deployed because we could find amazing founders trying to do amazing things and no one having capital to give it to them. And today, one of my games that I invested, which, people were saying that maybe may not survive $30 million or $40 million was its, FDV that time, opened up at $1 billion valuation, My Pet Hooligan. It came on Coinbase.
Congratulations.
So the actual gems are always in the bear market in the winter, not in the bull market.
That's when people are working, right? They're in the trenches. Yeah. Well, Sui, I know we went to, we covered their base camp in London as well. That's what a thriving ecosystem.
Yeah. So Sui, I think I'm sure you have met the founder, very active guy, building grassroots. This is not one of those founders who is talking a lot about marketing and showing ads every year, but actually going out and building developers. This is something that I have seen in India from Sandeep as well on Polygon. These guys are really going grassroots, getting developers on board, getting dApps on board, because in the end, crypto will not become big until users don't come on board. Right. And users will only come from dApps, which are lending dApps, gaming dApps, and number of products. So those guys are really doing a good job as well.
Well, it must be so fun and fulfilling, right? To work with these projects and have them succeed. I know gaming is kind of a fun space anyway. Is that your favorite kind of genre of what you guys go into?
So I actually looked at our portfolio. We have close to 25% exposure on gaming. Okay. And interestingly, I've been investing in gaming from the last 2 years. And GDC, 2 years back, I did some 11 investments. GDC, this year, I did another 5-6 investments. And now everyone's talking about gaming.
Right.
I think key reason for gaming being interesting is because how many layer ones will you build? You need users in that, and users will come with something that attracts them. And gaming is one of the biggest pullers of people. So I think gaming has a lot of legs to go.
Gaming has a lot of legs to it for sure. Now we're here at Consensus. We have more suits than ever. I always said Consensus. I remember going to Consensus in New York and looking around, and being like, "What am I doing here? Everybody's in suits. This is not what crypto is supposed to be." Here we have, it's kind of a mix. They moved to Austin a few years ago. We've been coming, I'm sure, the whole time. How are you seeing? I mean, are there more suits? Are they more accepting of what's going on? What's the temperature of these guys?
You should be happy the suits are there. They're all bankers,
I know.
They're trying to
pump my bag, right?
They get trying to so. I actually every time I go to a conference and I see a lot of suits, I actually say this that I think the bankers are here.
Yeah.
Because crypto community is more younger community, more fun community. They're trying to change the world, but also enjoy along the way. But so for me personally in Consensus, I've been more towards the side event sites.
Yeah.
I hardly come to the main conference site because you want to meet the developers. And when you're randomly walking in a conference which has 10,000 people, you don't know who's who. But when you go to a dev event like a SUI event, or when you go to a event of Bera, these guys are developers on Bera. So I prefer going there, meeting people, and there's a lot of energy there, a lot of fun there. Yeah. The event is good as well, but I go more towards the key events.
Well, yeah, that is interesting. And I mean, there must be over 150 different side events. I think there's at least 50 a day side events. One of them, of course, is our event, the Washington Legal. I think you have as well an event. He's promised that he's going to stop by, though. So we'll see him there.
I'll definitely be there. So in fact, mine today, we have 150 people, even 600 people have registered. So technically,
I know it's this place
is crowded right now.
Right? Yeah. Well, really cool. So on the bankers note, I know we were laughing a little bit about the ETFs. They have brought a lot of money into the space. I feel like, and we talk about it on the morning show every morning, that I feel like money is now starting to flow into the other projects a bit more. But over the last 5 or 6 months, as Bitcoin was pumping so high with the news of the ETFs and everything, it wasn't really dispersing as much to the other projects. What are your thoughts on the American ETFs?
See, first, I'm not a super fan of ETF because Bitcoin stands for your Bitcoin, your wealth. Now, ETF technically means your Bitcoin, someone else's wallet.
Yeah.
One of the key things is that people have to understand that you suddenly have added an intermediary to the whole process. Is it helpful for us? Yes, you're going to get a lot of money because people will start trusting. People start trusting an ETF because it is regulated. Again, I think FTX was also regulated in Bahamas. So, my whole thing is that yes, it will get money. You're not seeing the pumps that you saw earlier.
Right.
There's a reason for that because retail hasn't come.
Right.
Please understand that right now, this is not the place, but go to an Uber, go to grocery stores, you'll figure out that people are doing 3 jobs just to cover their rents and expenses. So if you see the latest consumer survey report where the numbers were, I think 57 out of 61 expected, people are not buying their food.
Yep.
How will they buy the crypto yet?
Exactly.
So what will happen is once the economy eases down in terms of interest rates coming down, I think during the election, people will go on the investment mode because gambling mode is already on. If you saw, there was a survey that the tendency to gamble has increased in the last 6 months. So what I see is that, yes, it's the institutionals buying it up who will diversify it in the retail soon, which is, I think, 3 to 6 months. But again, because, a lot of retail would be seeing this, you have to look at it from value investments. It's not that you will buy a Bitcoin tomorrow and become a millionaire. Those are just random stories to just hook you in. Bitcoin has real purpose, and by 2030, this will be a asset class which will be really regarded well. Kathy Woods and Michael Saylor are not idiots that they talk about $1 million Bitcoin. because right now 400 million wallets, one wallet, one person, if I assume, which is not true, is 4% of the world population. 90% of these people actually have no clue what Bitcoin or Ethereum do. They just wake up in the morning to speculate on the Bitcoin price. Imagine the day this number becomes 15% of the population, which lends, borrows on Bitcoin, which uses stable coins in Africa and Latin America. The real use case and adoption will come up. That's the time when Bitcoin as an asset class or crypto as an asset class will be that 20 trillion or 30 trillion market cap. And that's what you have to play. You don't have to speculate. You have to actually be a real investor in it.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. I agree with you. Absolutely, 100%. We're like, yeah. So Vineet, we've been going to Dubai for almost 6 or 7 years now, and Vineet is a big guy over there for sure. So, and we agree on a lot. Now, when we talk about Bitcoin and this second layer now that people are building on, I think that is also going to take a lot of supply away and push the price up. What are your thoughts? What kind of projects are you seeing? Are you interested in some of the projects that are building on Bitcoin? What are your thoughts on that?
So I actually have invested in a lot of Bitcoin layer 2s. Again, one of the biggest things, I was talking to one of the Ordinals founder, and I said, I've been buying a lot of Ordinals. I bought a lot of Incon BTC. I bought a lot of Node Monkeys. My thing was, I was telling this jokingly to a founder, I press the buy button, go take a shower, have my breakfast, come back, and still the transaction is going on, because Bitcoin as a network is quite slower. I think these people who are trying to build a layer 2, like Stacks, for example. Stacks is one of the existing ones, has been around. They're coming up with the Nakamoto upgrade. I've invested in a few. I've invested in B Squared network as well. I've invested in TAP, which is more of building something other than ordinals as well. So I think this will really make it more easier for people to come on board, because first, getting a normal person to use something which will take half an hour is not user experience. And it will add value. Just that, so many building up. I was in Hong Kong recently, and I had everyone saying, I'm a Bitcoin layer 2, I am a Bitcoin stablecoin. I think that's a bit of a hype, and you really have to find out the real ones.
Yeah.
And then, either follow them, invest in them. I've invested. I've put my money in there. And I truly believe that definitely has legs to grow as well.
Yeah. It actually was one of the reasons why I'm as bullish as ever on 7-figure Bitcoin. That's one of the reasons. You have people making up these NFTs on Bitcoin, ordinal NFTs, and they're just sending them off thinking they're sending them to Satoshi. You know what I mean? They're like sitting there on old addresses, like God only knows if anybody's ever going to see.
One of the key use cases in this. So one of the problems that we see is, there are around 20 million Bitcoin, but are they liquid enough? People have it in wallet and they can do anything from this. Now with these Bitcoin layer 2s, with this Bitcoin lending and borrowing platform, they're actually trying to move liquidity from Bitcoin to other chains. Imagine the liquidity unlock that is possible.
Yeah.
And this is really, really huge. In fact, one of the other segments that's trying to do this is in the RWA space as well.
Yep.
We take our Bitcoin, wrap it up, go to Aave compound, borrow against it.
Right.
Tomorrow, imagine your house title deeds land up on chain and people lend and borrow against it. You see the real estate market globally, it's big. So again, a lot of these liquidity movement and getting people to actually earn yields on that is real use cases. These are not, I launch a token and suddenly it goes up. Because, retail has been so hyped up around these meme coins as well recently. Personally, this is the best way to hook on people.
It is.
You read stories of a millionaire becoming on meme coin, and then suddenly the retail comes running to everything. But I think, people have to look at value investments. Bitcoin, layer 2, Bitcoin, Ethereum, definitely are real value investors, long-term investments.
Amazing. Well, Vineet, it has been so interesting. Thank you so much for sitting down. It is a pleasure. How do people find you? What's the website? Final thoughts.
If it's all about reaching out for investments to Cypher Capital, we are on cyphercapital.com. I'm personally available on Twitter at Vineet Budke. My Telegram ID is VineetDXV. You can drop me a message and I can connect you to the team if you're looking to raise a good project. Something that you have expertise to build in and you have previously done something around it. We are happy to invest. We still have a lot of capital to deploy.
Vineet, thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, guys. The great Vineet Budke. It was really interesting to sit down to him. You heard me before the interview aired. There's some people that you sit down with and you interview, and it's just kind of an interview, and then there's other people that you really connect with, and you can put things together that are interesting not only for yourself but for the audience. So thanks Vineet and his team for setting that up. We really enjoyed it. I'm sure we'll see him again. He was funny afterwards. He gave me a list of the conferences. He said, Bruce, you need to be at these ones. So I took notes and we'll go from there. It has been Consensus 2024 was really amazing event. I can tell you that they did a great job. I'll even change my background there as we go. We had a lot of fun. It was one of our first times. It was our first time as an official partner of Consensus. I know we sold a decent amount of tickets. I don't know how many yet, but I'll find out. But that was great. It was great to interview everybody. The team there does a wonderful job putting it together. It is probably the most important event of the year in the U.S. There's of course Bitcoin, the Bitcoin event too. BTC used to be BTC Miami. I guess it's going to be BTC Nashville this year. That is also a big important event, and but Consensus 2024, 10 years has been going on. Used to be up in New York, as you heard me talking about. It was all suits, but we had everybody there, and we're definitely going to come back next year. We'll have a bigger team, and we'll have more things set up. Our gala went very nicely. We had a great time at our gala as well. It was a lot of fun. The new date that we have set for the gala is September 26th, up in New York during the UN General Assembly. So that's going to be a very important event. You can imagine the type of people that are going to be in New York during that time. And of course, that's one of the reasons why we're doing it. We have the UN Blockchain Week as well that week. And then of course, the UN General Assembly and the Washington Elite Gala. So New York has historically been our one of our biggest and best events, one of our biggest, best places. DC and New York. I used to live in New York even as well, but DC and New York just a few hours ahead. We're East Coast here, running the scene, as I always say. All the important decisions are made here. But really looking forward to that. So that's going to be, it looks like September 26th is the date we put down on that. That's a Thursday. You know how we'd like to throw the events on Thursday. So that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Same URL, Luma/Washington Elite Gala. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of work in between that. Of course, I've had the down below Trump in Detroit running the whole time here. June 14 through 16, Turning Point, the People's Convention. The People's Convention, use code Impact Money. We were able to secure a 25% discount for you. So I'd love to see you all there. I know many of us have been following each other, and we've been talking together on X, or on used to be Twitter, for years, right? We've been talking to each other for years, and maybe we've never met in person. And I think Detroit will be an amazing place to meet in person. I think with what's going on, it's also important for us to get together. Remember, getting together and talking with each other is one of the most important things that we can do. And that's why I always talk about, with all the wars and everything else, we need to talk to each other. We need to talk to each other. Okay. And so it's important for us to get together. So hopefully I'll see you guys at the conference there, the People's Conference, Turning Point, the People's Conference there. It's in Detroit. And then as well, if you're in New York next week, I'll bring it up one more time. We have the Bitcoin Palooza, which is more of a fun event. As I said, it's not so much. Normally, I keep a pretty, we have different talks, and I'm not doing a gala or anything like that. Okay. But if you're in New York, I would like to see you this week on Thursday for Bitcoin Palooza NYC Tech Week. It's basically just an evening event. We have some people, some live bands that are playing. Of course, the coin heads are playing. We're going to have some ordinals that we're giving out, some swag and stuff like that. I will be there, and I would like to see you. So you can sign up for that on lu.ma, Luma, another Luma link, Bitcoin Palooza. You can also just Google Bitcoin Palooza, and I believe that you will come to either the Twitter or the X account or that Luma link. But we'd love to see you guys. So register for that, and we'll use that, of course, as a springboard heading into our gala and everything in September. That's going to be a very important event. So we're super excited about all that stuff, guys. It's always a pleasure. Doing these shows every morning is really something else. As I said, it keeps me honest. Not that I was dishonest before, but it's certainly waking up at 5 a.m. To come on TV there in Texas and Louisiana and streaming live. It is an absolute pleasure. It really is. I'm going to have, maybe tomorrow, we'll have the great Fly Mackey on. Fly Mackey's doing an amazing job putting us on TV and growing the TV network. So super excited to have him on as well. The great Fly Mackey. It was great to welcome to the stage as well, welcoming Genius AI, Exit Designer Token, and Pacio as well. We really had a great time. So that's it for me, my friends. I am signing off. We'll be back in a few hours.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.